Hey everybody, welcome back. Jay and Kevin and I are back for another playoff podcast here. It's going to be kind of a short, condensed one, no sponsors or anything like that. We're just going to recap the game, go through last night's results from Class A, and then we got the pods for Class A playoffs. The final 16 teams released at about a half hour ago. So we're going to give our predictions and go through those, and then our dome predictions, and then just have a good time talking about playoffs. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Last night's game, we played against Alta Aurelia, first round of the playoffs, round of 32. Here's the stats from last night that I have on my document. What'd you guys think of the game last night? 43-7 home game, first round. What did you think, Jay?
Kind of a bit very businesslike for West Hancock. Got up early, 24 zip after one, and then it was running clock with how much time left? About 2-3 minutes left to go in the game. But I believe West Hancock scored on 5 of their first 6 possessions. Really dominated in all facets of the game. Offensive line did a great job of opening things up for Francis and Zool and Walk. And defensively, I think at halftime I had Alta for a net 13 yards of offense. And Kevin and I kind of talked about it a little bit during the game. Alta was lining up in a wishbone formation, trying to bang around with us. And I said to Kevin a few times, I don't think that's just based on what they had skill level wise and what we had. I think that was a negative proposition. That wasn't going to be working too well, but no, business-like trip for us and moving on to week 2.
Yep, just kind of scrolling through the stats here. What do you think, Kevin? Anything to add?
Yeah, I thought they played well, especially up front. Made some huge holes. I thought Jay and I commented a couple times during the broadcast that we could have run through some of the holes that we were creating last night with the offensive line, and I really thought that they've kept a level head. They're just going out doing their business and getting back in the locker room and looking to the next week. And defense again, outstanding job on defense. We finally, we hadn't really recorded one of those. We hadn't had a pick six. We almost had one last night. Yeah. Braden almost took one in to the house on an interception return. But kudos to Alta. They come out in the second half and especially late in the game there, and we're able to move the ball a little bit against our defense and put some points on the board. But again, the defense, our starting defense is top notch.
Yep. And historically, go ahead, Jay.
I was gonna say one thing I'd add to that second half. Even though we gave up some yards when they brought in that Breckwald, and they went strictly 5 wide spread in the second half, I think that's going to be invaluable to our team. Just to have that dress rehearsal against a team in a real game situation where they're going 5 wide, and there's a quarterback that's, I think I said he's hard to get home on as far as his scrambling ability, and he likes to not just scramble to run; he's scrambling to give himself some time to find an open receiver downfield. I think that having that dress rehearsal could potentially be very, very valuable for this team going forward. And we'll talk about it in the predictions, but there's a team that we've talked about all year long that's got a quarterback that's likes to do some similar things.
Yep. And that was our 49th playoff win. So if we win next week, that'll be playoff win number 50. Puts us in some pretty cool territory with some other schools. 26-6 in the first round. And doing the math last night, we're approaching 1,000 points scored in the first round alone of the playoffs, which is pretty crazy. Not many teams get that many playoff games, and we're going on hopefully win number 50 here soon. So, all right, let's look at the
scoregami, right?
Yeah, scoregami. First time we ever won a game, 43-7. There's like 8,900 score possibilities, up to 90 points each way, and that was the first 43-7 win we've ever had. So that makes my nerdness very happy. Here's first round results from last night.
I had to make sure you were going to get that in.
Yeah, well, I was hoping you'd get on the radio last night. Like, oh, here we go. But, you guys are busy.
I forgot.
Scores from last night. What stood out to you guys from these scores that you can see on the screen? I think the Hartley game is like,
I think, Kevin, that Hartley Tri-Center game was like 55-14 when we went off the air.
Yeah,
So
something like that.
I'm really interested to see the box score of that one and what happened.
Yeah.
South O'Brien, they were up 14-0 on IKM, and IKM split the score in half, made it 14-7 like midway through the quarter. And I believe South O'Brien scored like very quickly after that one. The other one that I'll comment on is Newman Catholic and East Buck. They were back and forth through the first half, and then about midway through the third quarter, and then all of a sudden East Buck was able to get some separation there on Newman Catholic and a back and forth game. But yeah, really, I think the story of the night was one, that Hartley Melvin Sanborn was up 55-14. Like, they were dominating that game. And then two, the fact that the score ended up being 70-54. I know I was driving through the night down to my parents here and listening to that Radio Iowa scoreboard show, and they said the final score is 70-54, and I was thinking, there's no way, they must have got that one wrong. But yeah, something strange happened in that game.
And the one that sticks out to me a little bit is I really thought Lisbon would be stronger against Bellevue, just given the records. And Jay and I talked a little bit about it, that Bellevue, they've been kind of up and down. They started off the season ranked and kind of fell out of the rankings and then fought their way back. And they give Lisbon a tussle there. And I was a little bit surprised by that score. And then the one other score, North Tama and Wapello, we knew it was going to be a close game, or thought it would be a close game. And it turned out to be one of the closer games of the night. So
North Tama scored late to win that one.
Yeah, they must have, because I think the last report you and I had where Wapello was up in that one.
Yeah, I think they had the score wrong that I sent you guys last night, because it said 23-22. It must have been wrong. Obviously, the state gets the accurate score, but Mount Ayr and Madrid kind of stood out to me. Madrid is average at best, and Mount Ayr was a district champion, I believe. So I was a little surprised that game was as close as it was. Other than that, besides what you guys said, nothing really stood out too much. North Butler squeaked by, and we're gonna take a look here at the pods and show you what's coming up in the next few weeks. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
All right, let's take a look. Pod 1, South O'Brien at West Hancock, North Butler at HMS. Pod 2, Southwest Valley at Woodbury Central, Logan Magnolia at Mount Ayr. Pod 3, Earlham at Grundy Center. I'd be curious to know how long of a drive that is. North Tama at Linville, Sully. And then Pod 4, Wapsie Valley at North Lynn, and East Buchanan at Lisbon. So we're going to walk and talk through each one of these pods here for the next couple minutes, give our predictions and what we think is going to happen just for fun. Let's just start with Pod 1, obviously, because that's our pod and it's the first one. What do you guys see looking at Pod 1?
Go for it, Kevin.
Well, obviously we've got an opponent that we're somewhat familiar with. We played with South O'Brien in the playoffs a couple of years ago at Britt. I don't remember the score right off the top of my head on that game, but okay. We're going to be favored in that one. I would say being at home and I don't know a whole lot about South O'Brien other than they were defeated by HMS in their district. I'm going to go obviously with West Hancock on that one. North Butler Green and Hartley Melvin Sanborn. That's a matchup that's interesting, just from the standpoint that North or Butler is big up front. They might be able to take care of the running game. If those two teams to keep it, if their weather is a factor and those two teams have to keep it on the ground, that one could be a close game.
Yeah, I would agree with Kevin on his picks. West Hancock, South O'Brien, if I remember right, they like to really run the ball out of the I formation. And a couple of years ago, they had a running back coming in that had just crazy numbers coming in, and West Hancock was able to shut him down. So I like West Hancock by a few scores in that one. I haven't done enough research on South O'Brien to make a score prediction just yet. But the really interesting game is North Butler at Hartley Melvin Sanborn. I totally agree with Kevin. I think that defense of North Butler, especially the defensive line, can give HMS some fits. especially in that running game. I think for HMS to move on, they're going to have to hit some plays in the passing game. They've proven to be an offensive juggernaut other than the game that they played against us. But North Butler's got a really nice defensive line. They got some scrappy kids, and I think they're going to give them all they can handle and more. It's just a matter of, can North Butler move the ball and score points against HMS's defense to get over the hump? I don't think they can, so I'm going to say HMS moves on to play West Hancock in the quarters.
Yep, and to make sense of how the quarters would look, if two district champions, so West Hancock and HMS, if we both win, we're both district champions, it goes by alphabetical and it goes by the beginning of the alphabet. So we would be on the road for the quarterfinals, even though we have a better record. So in a sense, you might want to pull for North Butler to get us another home game. Just that's kind of the logistics of how the playoffs are set up. So I agree with you guys.
Same reason.
Oh, go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say, same reason why we got to host against Grundy Center last year.
Yep.
Because it was reverse alphabet.
Yep, they just do it every other. And some people claim we put Britt in front of West Hancock one year, and then we put it back behind other years. But we won't name those people who think that. But good friends of ours. Yeah, I have West Hancock and I have Hartley winning. But I wouldn't be terribly surprised if North Butler pulled off a close one either. I thought they had a nice team. We were just a level above them, and now that they have a playoff win under their belt, that might change things a little bit. Pod 2, Southwest Valley at Woodbury and Logan at Mount Ayr. How do you guys think about that one?
This is an intriguing pod to me because Woodbury Central's only loss was to Logan Magnolia, and Mount Ayr has proven that they're capable of doing damage, and Southwest Valley also. I'm going to go with Woodbury and Logan to meet in the quarters there in that one. And that's going to be a great game to see. It'll be a rematch of a game where Woodbury Central, the district champion, was beat by Logan Magnolia.
What do you have, Jay?
I'm trying to look to see what was the score of that Logan and Woodbury game. I got Woodbury Central moving on, and I've got Woodbury Central versus Logan Magnolia, and I think Woodbury Central gets them in the rematch.
Yep. I have the exact same thing. Woodbury Central is the only team we've ever played before from that pod. We've beaten them, I think, 4 times in the playoffs now. Most recently, the 2019 semis, we beat them 49-20. And then when we get to our semis and finals predictions, we'll probably match up with them again here in a little bit. But I have the same as you guys, Woodbury. I have Logan. Like I said, I just wasn't too impressed with Mount Ayr against Madrid last night, and living down this way and used to teach in that area, there's not a ton of great football in that area right now, so I would take Logan over Mount Ayr. Pod 3, Earlham at Grundy, North Tama at Linville Sully. I'll go first on this one just to switch it up. I think I'd be kind of dumb to not pick Grundy here over Earlham. They're just obviously top 2, 3, 4 team in the state. And then I'm going with Linville Sully, going with the home team. I know we've talked about North Tama a little bit in the past, how they've had some injuries, they've had some issues with whatever going on, and they haven't really passed the wow test just yet. But I know Linville's coach, and he's a good guy, good coach, and I'm going with the home teams here.
Well, I think that Earlham, unless things have changed, they're traditionally a run-heavy team. Yeah. And we saw St. Ansgar go down there. They're traditionally run heavy, and Grundy Center was able to take care of them. And I would go with Grundy also on that one. North Tama and Linville Sully, that is an intriguing game too. It's going to be close. And like you said, I would give the home field advantage to Linville Sully on that one. Grundy Center, though, is by far and away, I think, the best in that pod.
I would agree. I think Grundy Center, far and away, really good draw for them. They're far and away the best team out of those 4. So I got Grundy Center moving on. I think they win big over Earlham. And I'm going to go North Tama over Linville Sully. I'm going to stick with Gabe Capriva and North Tama. I think they get it done on the road and set up a rematch with Grundy Center. But again, I just think Grundy Center is too much for those 3 other teams.
Yep. And it looks like Grundy would get a home game in the quarters no matter what. Linville's a district champ, but G comes before L in the alphabet. North Tama was the runner-up, or were they the 2 or 3? I can't remember, but either way, they weren't a district champ, so Grundy would get the home game there. We've played Grundy and Linville in the playoffs before. Grundy, I think 4 or 5 times now, including a championship game, and then we lost to Linville in the '86 championship game, 12-7. So we have a few familiar opponents from that pod. Pod 4, Wapsie Valley at North Lynn, East Buchanan at Lisbon. Jay, you want to start it off? Who do you have?
Well, I wasn't really on that Northland train going into last week. Kevin has been on their train all week long, and I was kind of on that Lisbon train. Well, then Lisbon had to sneak by in that first round to get their matchup with East Buchanan. Northland rolls yet again, so I'm gonna go Northland over Wapsie Valley. I'm gonna stick with Lisbon. I think they beat East Buchanan. I think that's more of my stubbornness coming out with this pick. But I'm going to say Lisbon gets it done, but do not be surprised if East Buck is able to get a nice road win. And then now that the pods are out, I'm going to join the Kevin Wilson train, and I'm jumping on that Northland bandwagon. I think they advance out of pot 4.
And I really can't add anything to what Jay just said, other than, I've been on that, like you said, I believed in Northland just because of their defense, and regardless of your strength of schedule and who you're playing, if you're shutting people out and not giving up points, you got something going on there. So I would say Northland over Wapsie. And that next one, I'm a little bit like Jay. It could be a toss-up. Lisbon has a lot of tradition there. And so go with tradition and say that Northland and Lisbon are going to match or meet up in the quarters.
Yeah, and I'm going to disagree. I still think Northland wins, but I'm going to go with East Buchanan. I'm picking one road team, and I think that's my road team to go with. The only issue might be that I don't know how long of a trip it is, but traveling, high school kids, a little bit of pressure, big game can be a tough one, but I'm going with my gut and going with East Buchanan here. And we have 2 common opponents here. Wapsie, we played them in the 96 and 97 semis. We won in 96, lost in 97. And then Lisbon was the 2011 state championship game where we lost 14-12. So several of these teams, a good majority of these teams actually, we've played against in the playoffs before. So after the second round next week, the 8 remaining coaches for the quarterfinals are going to get on a Zoom call just like we are, and they are going to rank their top 8. So they have to take the top 8 teams that are left, put a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 next to them, and then that's how they decide rankings for the Unidome. So my 4 Unidome teams are West Hancock, Woodbury Central, Grundy Center, and North Lynn. If I were to rank them based on what I think the coaches are going to rank them, I would have West Hancock as my 1 seed, Grundy as my 2 seed, North Lynn as my 3, and Woodbury Central as my 4. And that would put West Hancock against Woodbury Central, and then Grundy Center against North Lynn in the semis. What do you guys have for your dome predictions for the semis?
Yeah, I would agree 100% with what you just said, ranking them in that same order. I think, the 1 and the 2 spot, that could be a toss-up, but I think West Hancock, just because they've been ranked number 1 for so long, and been able to hold that position, and 3 wins over top 10 opponents over the course of the season. I think there should be probably the 1. Grundy Center is a solid number 2 there. And you could make a strong argument for them being number 1. And then North Lynn, that are going to come in undefeated with a great defense. They would be a 3. And then, of course, Woodbury Central are coming in with the 4th spot.
What do you think, Jay?
I would say ditto and ditto. I got the same 4, and I got the same order. West Hancock, if they win out and get to the Dome, they're going to be the number 1 seed. Like Kevin said, they've been number 1 since week 3 or so, and they've done everything they've done. There hasn't been any questions as to them sticking with that number 1 ranking. I give Grundy Center the number 2 ranking over North Lynn, even with the 1 loss being a 1-loss team. You got to remember that was to Dyke New Hartford. And then I think you got to give a little bit of Grundy Center credit. I mean, they're the reigning running runners up for the last 2 years. So that's why I think they get the 2 seed over Northland, and then Woodbury Central, or Northland number 3 and Woodbury Central number 4. So if it were to play out that way, that would be Woodbury Central. That was our semifinal opponent in 19, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
2019, yep.
So, and then a potential, I think it's going to be basically a rubber match third time around between West Hancock and Grundy Center. We got them in the championship. They got us last year, and we'll see what happens in the championship, hopefully, this year.
Yep.
All goes well.
That's my prediction. West Hancock Grundy in the finals. I just think those 2 teams are the top 2. Obviously, it's hard to know because we haven't seen some of these teams on film, but
I will say, Dan, if we do end up seeing Woodbury Central down the road in the Dome, and Kevin and I have talked about it many times, they're a team that if they get down to the Dome, they can be a problem just based on their style of play.
Yep. The Dome adds an element. The fast get faster, and you take the elements from the outside out of the equation, and it can be a completely different ball game. Same with Grundy's quarterback when he's fully healthy, as he's a tough one to stop on the carpet. So, yeah. Kevin, any last thoughts here? Like we said, this is kind of a quick podcast, but.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for the playoffs, regardless of who wins. I mean, we got a great field of teams out there this year, and we've had some great first round games last night. I'm just excited for this next week to come up and go Eagles.
Yep, I'm excited and happy that the state looks like they tried to get the 4 best teams to the Dome. I was a little nervous last night. I think I woke up a few times checking the website to see if they were posting it earlier, if I was dreaming or something, but I was like, I want the best 4 teams there. Geographically, they could have put us and Grundy together, honestly. I know I was messaging you guys about district champs can't play other district champs in this next round, and hypothetically, they could have potted them a little differently and just said, it's just you're closer than this team, so play each other now. But I think it's important to get the best 4 teams to the Dome. Just like in state basketball, spread the teams out, get the best teams to the Wells Fargo Arena, and let them duke it out down there and not beforehand. So, Jay, any last minute words?
I would echo those sentiments. I think kudos to the state. I think they did a very good job with the pods and basically just the separation and how they seeded things out. I about as good as you could get as far as hoping for from a fan perspective, trying to split up what we think are the top teams. But they've got a tough job to do, to try to do that and then keeps some sort of normalness with the geography. It's not always easy to do, but I think they really nailed it this year. And I haven't even looked at the other pods, at the other classes yet. So I'll be able to see what those look like from a geography standpoint. But in Class A, 2 thumbs up.
Yep, definitely. I 100% agree. All right, next Friday night at Bob Sanger Field, 2nd round action. And we'll see you there, hopefully. Thanks, guys. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Thanks, Dan. Go
Thank
Eagles.
you.